Hello everyone, I'm Zibboyeye, and in this video we're talking about TV shows that need a complete series physical release. So let's get right to it with a show that needs no introduction to anyone within my age group, Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh is a very special sitcom to me. I grew up watching just cartoons to the point where, well, I'm autistic and that means that I'm a bit picky. As an autistic kid, I just wanted to watch cartoons, so I usually changed the channel when Drake and Josh came on. But that changed as some of my school friends endlessly talked about the show. They loved it, so I felt like I had to give it a fair shot. And it became the first sitcom I ever watched and the first live-action show I truly loved. Seriously, stuff like the Game Sphere or the episode where they're trapped in the treehouse lived endlessly in my head. And recently when my girlfriend came over last February, we watched through several episodes of the series, and it still stood up. We were laughing just as much or even more so than we were as kids. Now that's the mark of a good show. The one thing that disappointed us was Netflix only had a few seasons. It was missing the last one, and even on Paramount Plus was missing some episodes. One obvious one is the one where Drake and Josh do a talent show as the Blues Brothers and it shows clips from the movie. Now that one is obviously licensing issues. But other than that, even the episodes that were there were not pristine. There were these weird edits, some that were detrimental to the episode, like one where Josh is trying to prove to Mindy's parents that he truly loves her, and at the end he gets to kiss her, but the kiss is cut out. Very weird. We speculate it's to accommodate for international censorship laws. Also, there's this one guy on YouTube who calls these episodes banned episodes, even though they aren't outright banned, it's other complicated reasons like I mentioned. But I guess who cares about bending the truth when you get to make a dramatic thumbnail? Ooh, my Wi-Fi went out while I was watching the episode of Jellystone where Yogi Bear eats everyone. I guess that's a banned episode too. Sorry about that tangent, everyone. I have random bouts of assholery. But really, these cuts and missing episodes are the reasons why I lament that this series never got a complete series DVD release. I'm not even just talking about releasing one right now. I wish there was one released years ago back when these licensing issues wouldn't have been an issue. I mean, at least then, even if it were rare, we wouldn't have to worry, it would still be out there. But sadly, Drake and Josh only has the movies and Best of Season 1 and 2 and Best of Season 3 and 4. In fact, Best of Season 1 and 2, Season 1 is only 6 episodes, so it's not like Best of, it's all of Season 1. Before, of course, the rest of them, they don't have every episode on disc. Not to mention, it deserved way more respect than this selective episode release that wasn't even on printed discs. These were on-demand DVD-Rs. And that's why I hope one day it gets a complete series DVD release. It's so important not only to me, but the history of Nickelodeon sitcoms. Speaking of, here's another show with similar leniency and issues. I'm talking about Nickelodeon's Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. This also suffers from the Best of Seasons DVD-Rs. Season 1 has only 13 episodes and only 9 on disc. At that point, why not just release complete Season 1? Just add 4 more episodes. Also, there's not even a Best of Season 3, so I think if you want physical media of Season 3, you just won't get it. This is a very special show to me because it stands out apart from the other Nickelodeon sitcoms. You know, with that one laugh track and that one kind of annoying laugh. This isn't like that. This is a single camera show, and what really appealed to me was its over-the-top humor. It was created by Scott Fellows, who had worked on Fairly Odd Parents and would go on to create Johnny Test. Depending on how you feel about that show, I don't know how well I'm advertising this show. That is to say, he's worked in cartoons, and that's the best comparison I can give for Ned's Declassified. It's like a live-action cartoon, and as a kid, I had never seen anything like it. I loved how over-the-top it was, and I lament that looking back, it seems overshadowed by Dan Schneider's shows and the other typical Nickelodeon sitcom when this had a unique style. And that's why I would love to see a Ned's Declassified complete series. Now the next entry on my list kind of breaks the rules. I'm talking about Pound Puppies 2010. How it breaks the rules is because every episode of it is available on physical media, it's on DVD. So what's my problem? Well, it's because it's released very annoyingly, and I'm not talking about the early 2000s sort of annoying DVD release where it's not by seasons, it's by volumes. I wish it were even that. This is released like the Hub's other show, Littlest Pet Shop, where it's stuff like Best Inventions or Best Vacations. It's not in episodic order, they're bundled by topics? I can't think of an example in particular, but I'll show one of the DVDs off here so you get the picture. But that is the problem. Even if they were to release a complete series DVD, it can't be like how Cartoon Network has done it, like with Ed, Edd n Eddy, where some of the seasons had already had releases, they just had to reprint the disc for the complete series. They can't just reprint these discs because they're out of episodic order. My girlfriend was the one to introduce me to this show, and we watched all of it. I was pleasantly surprised. At first I only knew it as, and now this, you get a veteran's account if you recognize this one. At first I only knew this as Secret But Fun, which, if you know, was the tagline that was in the advertisements for it at the end of My Little Pony episodes.
Because underneath this ordinary pound lies the secret headquarters, secret but fun, of an extraordinary bunch of hounds.
In the catalog of shows on the Hub, I feel like even Littlest Pet Shop, because it had some connections to MLP, I feel like even that got more attention than Pound Puppies. When Pound Puppies, after I saw it, I was like, this is way better. Thankfully it's all on Tubi, which to some can nullify the need for a physical release. I'll probably get more into the relationship between streaming and physical media by the end of the video, but I guess however you choose to watch it, it's fair to give it a try. It's a charming show. Next up, Ultra Q Dark Fantasy. Now with me I have the original Ultra Q from the 1960s, I think, and also the newer Ultra Q, Neo Ultra Q from 2013. But between this, back in 2004, there came Ultra Q Dark Fantasy. Now why doesn't that have a physical release? From what I understand, it's because it was a co-production between two companies. The Blu-rays I just had up here were released by Mill Creek, and they had received the license from Zibboyeye. But that means they received the licenses that only Zibboyeye owned, so as a co-production, this wasn't on the table. For those who don't know, Ultra Q is a big name, literally. It's about giant monsters from one of the special effect directors who worked on Godzilla. Now, probably more well known than this is the series it started, Ultraman. But I'm just not into Ultraman, the superhero who can turn big and fight monsters. It just doesn't do it for me. I prefer Ultra Q, where it's just people dealing with giant monsters. I'm not really into the superhero stuff it's more famously known for. Which is why I'm so interested in Ultra Q Dark Fantasy. Compared to the other ones, which are more spectacle, apparently Ultra Q Dark Fantasy is darker, as the name would imply. Apparently it even aired at 1 AM. What a crap time slot. But that's pretty daring to get a creep factor. So I think this deserves a physical release so people can complete the Ultra Q collection. I guess they would also need the movie, but that's another topic. And also because I'm just more interested in it than I am the rest of the Ultraman series. Next up is a Nickelodeon show that only had one episode on DVD. Yeah, it was on a volume of Nick Pics, and well, having one episode, just one on DVD, what's more justified to having a complete series come out? I'm talking about Mr. Meaty. I really enjoyed Mr. Meaty as a kid. It stands out from the Nicktoons. Does it count as a Nicktoons if it's puppetry? It was this very weird show that felt a bit edgy, but not too much for a kid. The way I think of it, this feels like a show that would have been perfect to come out on MTV years prior. It probably has some naysayers, I mean every show does, but it was just this crazy stupid show that I loved as a kid, and I would love to see it out there again. This one is even more demanding just any release because it's not even on streaming. Another show I'd like to see is Eek the Cat, and that's not because of personal connection. I like the show, it's funny, but it's more so out of reverence for its creator and interest in what was Fox Kids. Lately, my girlfriend and I have been watching TV continuities, as in old commercials, and taking intrigue in, oh, I remember that product, oh, what's that one, oh, that show. And oftentimes we go back to watch VHS tapes of Fox Kids continuity. And the block just seemed to have a unique feel. There are a lot of shows that seem forgotten to time, and I think even later on in its life, it's interesting seeing it trying to find an identity and place in the TV landscape. But the show to me that defines Fox Kids was Eek the Cat. It ran for so many seasons, and I think it's probably the longest running show on Fox Kids, unless you count Power Rangers. It was created by Bill Kopp, who's done a lot in animation, but even so feels underappreciated today. He did this, Snookums and Meat, and Mad Jack the Pirate, but maybe it's because nostalgia for other shows around that time is stronger, but for whatever reason, I don't see many people talk about these shows despite how humorous they are. My girlfriend and I have seen a lot of his shows, so we appreciate him, and I think a new DVD release of Eek the Cat could get him the appreciation he deserves. It's so weird to me there's no full series release of this show because it's the longest running Fox Kids show. To me, it is the Fox Kids show, so it's weird to see something so representative be so underrepresented in the market. Now this next one is kind of selfish. I can't imagine that many people rushing to stores to get this, but Spy Dogs. This is a charming show that it's about dogs who are spies. And also, it features Mickey Dolenz, who is possibly to thank for how we can watch it today, because a certain fan VHS taped almost every episode, maybe even every episode, so they're all archived and available to watch on the net, which is how my girlfriend and I watched it. Though years ago, back when we first watched it, there was this one episode that was only in Russian or something. Thankfully, someone found a tape with it in English, so when we rewatched it a few years back, we were able to watch it in English. But that's the state it's in, having to watch it on YouTube or some pirate site with a big logo in the corner. This cartoon is very special to me and my girlfriend because it's the first show we watched together to completion. COVID-19 and quarantine had just started, and we had only met a few months earlier, so we were voice calling and watching this show and really getting to know each other. So it's not just a fun and cute show, but it also bears a strong connection to us. Like Eek the Cat, this was a Fox Kids program, and it makes me wonder who owns the rights to it. If Fox still owned the rights to it, then, well, it's owned by Disney now. But Disney doesn't seem interested in dumping this on Disney+. In fact, even, I feel bad for Bill Kopp. He didn't work on this, but he worked on, as I mentioned, Eek the Cat and Snookums and Meat, which was made for Disney, and Disney won't even put that on their streaming service. With all these shows, especially if they had the Fox Kids catalog, I wish they would put them on streaming. But even more, rather than hoarding these rights if they do own them, just put them somewhere, because beyond just the media preservation that is physical media, beyond physical media, I'm not even asking for that anymore. Just put it somewhere, because more important than that is availability. Now next up is Bunnicula, which I have season 1 here, but season 1 is the only one to get a DVD release. It's cutesy and slapsticky, which is why it probably shifted from being aired on Cartoon Network to the season 2 and 3, which were aired on Boomerang and part of the Boomerang streaming service. I'm not sure if all of season 1 was aired on CN, don't quote me on that. Definitely more so this is a Boomerang show. But because it was on Boomerang, I feel like this show was neglected by most cartoon fans when I really enjoyed it. And a huge part of that is the horror. I am a horror movie fan. It goes without saying the Dracula is obvious, but more than that, there are specific references to the genre, like a character named Karloff and a character named Lugosi. Bunnicula gets a cube referencing Hellraiser. There's even this one bit referencing the famous "Oh my god" scene from Troll 2. So they really loved the horror genre, and as a fan of it, I really loved this show. It reminds me of something one of my professors said about the old Looney Tunes cartoons, that they featured classic orchestral music, and in doing so, were exposing youths to that culture, our society's history and art. So even though you can just see these as references in Bunnicula, I can't help but appreciate them because horror is not an accessible media, at least immediately, to kids. So I would love to think that some kids might see Bunnicula and recognize this as they grow up and explore the genre more, that it might even spur their love of these movies. The Boomerang streaming service died and took the show to the grave with it. Or I guess not, you can still get it digitally, but when it comes to spending money, I'd rather spend it on something tangible than digital. That said, if you like a show, you should support it however you can. I forgot to mention why Bunnicula means so much to me beyond just my love of the genre. I learned about this show right when I was entering community college, and going through that change in life, I needed something to unwind, and this show provided that for me. It became a comfort show to me, and Bunnicula became a comfort character to me. And like all my comfort characters, they go in my profile pic, so of course Bunnicula was on my Discord PFP at the time. Now lastly is Chowder. Who doesn't know Chowder? The show was created by C.H. Greenblatt, who I had no idea hooked me even before I started watching the shows he created. Having worked on SpongeBob and then creating and voicing Fred Fredburger in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, he knew exactly how to tickle my humor.
But can I borrow yours for a minute? Oh, thank you. Fred Fredburger, Fred Fredburger. Fred Fredburger, Fred Fredburger, Fred Fredburger.
I'm autistic. It premiered in 2007, which wasn't a bad time for cartoons, but in the years to come we would see things like CN Real or Fanboy and Chum Chum, and as a kid I took note. These shows just weren't as funny. And then Ben 10 Alien Force aired, and it was just way too dramatic to me compared to the younger Ben 10 series. So action shows even stopped appealing to me at that point. But one show whose luster remained throughout all that time was Chowder. So for being the best show on Cartoon Network at the time, I think it deserves a complete series physical media release. It has come out through volumes years ago, and I'm not sure if they were in episodic order. If they were, it saves some money. You can just reprint the discs, Warner Brothers. But surprisingly, there were like 10 volumes and every episode came out in Thailand. I mean, if Thailand can have it, why can't we? So that's about it for my list, more or less. There were some honorable mentions, like I had to take this off, How I Met Your Mother. There's a complete series DVD of it, but I love this sitcom. It's probably my favorite, so seeing other series like Frasier or Seinfeld get Blu-ray releases, I can't help but be a bit hungry and think that the same should be done for How I Met Your Mother, but it does have a complete series physical media on DVD, so... Another one I was tempted to mention was Cornelia and Bernie, but every episode, at least every episode of the good season, is on DVD, and it really just comes down to I wish there was a release of the widescreen version, but it's really no bother because that's all on YouTube anyway. I just wanted another excuse, I guess, to mention Cornelia and Bernie because I'm obsessed. To the point of making a Death Note edit of the show, like seriously, I'm weird, I just love Cornelia so much. But like I said, it's all on YouTube anyway, and that brings me to the convenience of streaming. Even if a lot of these shows were brought to physical media, and even if, as you can tell, I am a physical media enthusiast, I'd probably rather watch on streaming because that's the most economically and watchably convenient. I'm okay getting up and picking out a movie here to set in my player to watch because watching and committing to an over an hour movie is an event. For TV shows where you might just want to watch one episode, streaming is far more convenient. Even in that sense, buying digitally is more convenient, and in the case of series like Crypto the Superdog, which has a complete series DVD, it's all on HD digitally. So making this video, I questioned how much I am into releasing TV shows on physical media, or more so being a customer of that. I think it's important for these TV shows to be out there physically for the media preservation that is a solid object. There's been talks of Paramount buying Warner, and that just gives me a worry about the hassle that is licensing and rights and what will stay and what will not. Having things on streaming or digital may not be as ironclad as having it on a disc, but media preservation is media preservation. But media preservation is only as important as it is accessible as a viewer. I mean, what good is having something out there if it's on a $900 out-of-print DVD? Yeah, I might be exaggerating, but I'm serving my point. That's why I want this stuff out there, and I want it out there however it can be, because accessing it is the most important part. I don't know, what do you think? What DVDs would you like to see of TV shows? What TV shows would you like to see on streaming? Tell me your thoughts in the comments, and also tell me if you'd like to see more videos like this. But either way, thank you for watching this one. Thank you so much as always for spending any time on anything I create, and I'll see you later.